When a cowboy trades his spurs for wings. Oh, Radicus, didn't see you there. Just editing Shack Out Back. What is it you want? Dan fell down the well. Is we talking about Dan or Dan from Archive 81? God, you have such a beautiful voice. I'm so surprised more podcasts don't put talking rats in their show. I know, buddy. Before we get Dan, you pull up a chair and listen to this new episode together. Dan,
Hello everybody. Jim, I'm doing the intro this week. You always say it before me.
I'm stepping back. Intro us.
Hello everyone. It is episode, I think it's 33 or 4? 33?
34.
34. Wowee. One more than I thought. It's episode 34 of Shack Out Back, the bi-weekly podcast where we talk about some different stuff. And this week it was very interesting. Little spoilers ahead. We're going to talk about 81 Archive, Jim's favorite audio podcast of the last decade.
Jim's most hated fucking thing he's listened to in a while, and most loved thing he's watched in a while.
You liked it that much, eh? We'll get into it. I didn't find it insanely good. I didn't find it bad, but I'm interested to see why you hated it so much. Not hated the podcast so much, I should say.
Did you listen to the podcast at all?
I listened to a little bit of it today at work. I don't, so we'll get into it, but yeah, there'll be spoilers for the entirety, because it's actually new, where we got our finger on the pulse of mainstream media. This is a very new show we're covering.
Came out 2 weeks ago, bro.
Yeah, so I watched it all in about a week, but before we do that, we'll do the bi-weekly breakdown, talking about what we've done. Jim, you can go first.
I'm climbing into my winged armchair by the fire, got Radicus in my lap, petting him like a Persian cat. I'm going first, bi-weekly breakdown, so it's been like 3 weeks since we've recorded.
I was going to say, it feels like it's been a while. We recorded, it's the same time. We've done it a couple times. Record really early and then record pretty late.
We usually do it in like the middle. We usually do it like the weekend, not the weekend right before the episode comes up, but the weekend like before that. But now we're doing it the weekend before the episode comes out. But bi-weekly breakdown. It's been 3 weeks. Don't judge me too harshly. I don't have a job right now still, but I have done things.
Jim's played 1,000 hours of video games and 50 hours of movies.
I watched Encanto. Have you watched Encanto yet?
That's the new Disney one with the buff Mexican lesbian woman?
Colombian, and I don't know if she's a lesbian, and yes.
Dang. That's
sick. It's got damn good music in it. Made me cry. I've watched it 3 times. So once by myself, once with my roommates, and once with my roommates again with their mom.
Holy shit, you watched it that many times? You're not usually a Disney guy like that, are you?
I like Disney films. I don't like talking about them because they're still this evil corporation, but I did like the movie. I watched, so I think I talked about it in Shack Out Back, but I kind of like moved everything around. I took all of my video game consoles out of the living room, and I set up like a VCR
and my gamer station
and my Laserdisc player in the VCR in the living room and stuff. So me and my roommates, we watched The Hobbit from the 1970s.
Good Christ.
And it was better than the new Hobbit movies, but it certainly was a trip. It was a very psychedelic adaptation of a book.
Is it a live action film?
No, it's like, have you ever seen...
I feel like I know what you're talking about. I feel like I've seen it before. Like, not seen it, but I feel like I have seen it referenced and seen clips of it.
I think the animated Lord of the Rings is more famous than the animated Hobbit. The animated Lord of the Rings is a lot more abstract and kind of crappier than this one, but this one's like 75 minutes, gets the story done right quick and cuts out the stuff that needs to be cut off. It's not 8.5 hours long like the goddamn live action movies of The Hobbit, which all suck.
Yeah, I can see that.
So I watched a movie with my parents because I went over to their place. We watched Midnight in the Switchgrass. Do you know what that is?
Jim, I've never heard of that in my life.
So it's one of those films where they, quote unquote, I'm doing air quotes, hire Bruce Willis and put Bruce Willis on the front of the movie.
Oh, wait, no, this is the movie where it's just the back of his head for like a long time, isn't it?
Where Bruce Willis sits in a chair for every scene he's in and then walks off the stage. I like Megan Fox as an actress because she's in it too. And it's got the guy who is in Call of the Wild. Oh, what the fuck is that movie called?
Call of the Wild?
Not Call of the Wild. He was in...
The Wilder People.
No, he was in The Autopsy of Jane Doe and a couple other movies. He's a good actor. And it's just not a good movie. They're both good actors, and they try to do something with it, but it just sucks. I watched Vivarium. That's another movie that I didn't like. Do you know what Vivarium is?
I've definitely heard of it. That sounds more familiar.
It's
to me
the movie
than
with
the
Jesse
other one.
Eisenberg and Imogen Poots where they're like in a suburban neighborhood, but it's like a Euclidean zone where they can't escape.
Oh yeah, I've watched this. I've seen this.
So I was testing out stuff in the living room, like Roku's and stuff that didn't work, and so I watched the whole thing. And rarely do I find a film that I just like intensely dislike and think is bad. But Vivarium was one of them. It didn't make me angry, like something like Mother Exclamation Point or something, but it was just like a movie that exists despite itself. Like it has a lot of work and effort put into it that's clearly shown and seen, but just like says nothing. It literally just says like, oh, like being in suburbia is sure is
Wasn't
trap.
there like, didn't they have a baby or something?
Yeah, it's
that was.
fucking bad, Dan. Don't watch it.
Yeah, I've definitely seen it, and if I've seen it and I can't remember anything about it, like even in the slightest,
It's like a nothing film. It just
Yeah.
like shouldn't exist. I watched Brokeback again. My internet was out and I watched a bunch of cowboy stuff. I watched Brokeback Mountain, and Dan told me he's not watched Brokeback Mountain. So guess what we're gonna do for one of these Shack Out Backs one day?
watch Brokeback Mountain.
Yeah.
So I always saw it get memed on because it's a gay cowboy movie, right?
Yeah,
Is it like good? It's an actual good movie.
yeah, it's excellent. It's a very good film. Ang
I
Lee
didn't
won
know
Best
that.
Director that year for the film. It's an extremely good movie. Yeah.
I'll watch it. I like cowboys.
I think it was just it's like like memetically, I don't know how to say other way to say this, but it's like memetically memed. It's like an echo of the meme that happened when it came out, because it was like
Yeah.
ha ha ha, Gay Cowboys 2003, and now it's like 18 years later and people just think of it as just the Gay Cowboy movie, but it is very
That's
good.
what I think of it as. I like gay people and I like cowboys. I'll watch it.
I watched Winchester 73 with Jimmy Stewart. It's an old movie with Jimmy Stewart and a gun. It was very good. Jaden liked it. I watched Call Me By Your Name again. You ever seen Call Me By Your Name, Dan?
I don't think so. It sounds like a cowboy movie.
No, it's about two gay lads in Italy, and they fall in
Jim,
love.
you watched 2 gay movies in 2 weeks?
Yeah, I'm too gay for you, Dan. Too gay.
God
Too cool.
damn.
I watched the first 3 episodes of the Critical Role show,
Oh, Vox Machina?
Yeah.
Is that what it's called?
Yes.
On Netflix?
The Legends
Yeah,
of Vox Machina.
I'll say Critical Role. I never got into it. Any of those like live play RPG things I never got into, but good for them. Like, good for them. They really made an empire out of it.
I don't know, because I watched a lot of the second season of Critical Role and I enjoyed a lot of it.
Yeah.
I just really dislike listening to D&D combat in a podcast or watching it.
Me too,
It's
yeah.
fucking boring. The only D&D comp like podcast I like is Dungeons and Daddies.
Yes.
But at the Critical Role show, it was good and had horrific violence in it, and it was kind of funny, but the music is terrible. Music in that show is awful, like just generic shit. It's really like the music's really not good, which sucks because they have really, really good music in like the live action like show they do on Twitch. Like it's much better in that, like the role playing, than it is in the like the $1 million produced show, which is very surprising. I watched Invincible. Invincible was good. Second season of Dungeons and Daddies came out. I watched that. I finished Ion Fury. Ion Fury was excellent, great ending. I've been playing lots of Nightmare Reaper again. I'm playing Pathfinder Kingmaker, and finally, the game that's got me and Dan in a tither, in a tight tither, the last week or 2 or so.
We're back on it.
We're back on Hunt, boys. I've been tweeting on the Shack Out Back Twitter. We have a Shack Out Back Twitter now. Follow us at Shack_back.
It's not that, Jim. Shut up. It's not that.
What is
I
it?
changed it.
What is it?
I think it's. Give me 1 millisecond and I'll look it up. I'm trying to figure out what looks best because I think underscores look really ugly on Twitter and they're not good to say. Shack Out Back Pod.
At Shack Out Back Pod. Follow us there.
That's kind of good. Shack Out Back Pod isn't bad. Some fucking woman has Shack Out Back, which I want.
Some disgusting Tina I'm not gonna frickin' dox her,
Dox her.
but I wish I could. Maybe she's dead. But Hunt Showdown. Dan gets mad. Patrick gets mad.
I don't get mad.
I'd give it wet chef kiss. I love me some Hunt Showdown. I play Hunt Showdown with the boys. I think about Hunt Showdown when I go to sleep. I wake up thinking about Hunt Showdown. I
Jim's
go on.
enamored.
I play solos. I was playing solos last night. I wiped 2 duos by myself. It was very good.
That's really good. We're much better. We're getting better. I was saying it yesterday. Rotations. That's like has won us multiple fights.
That's what I keep telling Dan. Dan's like Dan rushes in. Okay, here's the setup. Okay, Patrick, he goes in, and you're not supposed to make a lot of noise in this game. He starts blasting his shotgun to the boss 16 times and giving away our position. Dan is like the sharpshooter. Dan will walk up and kill 6 men, and he'll get a headshot in the back of the head and scream and cry. And I'm like, boys, we gotta do this. I got the plan. We roll around, we run around, and I cannot shoot for shit. That's the team comp there. But Hunt Showdown's really good. I recommend that to people to play. Not people who have high blood pressure, but I recommend everyone to play
Very
that.
tense and slow. It's not for everyone, but definitely a good game. They need to fix some stuff. That's 100% they do, but I'm hopeful for 2022.
What about you, Dan? Bioweek's breakdown.
What about me? What have I been doing? I played and finished Detention, that game that you recommended last year that you really liked.
Yep.
Very good game. I liked it quite a bit, and I'm not usually into point and click, for lack of a better word. Not like it was a point and click game, but like kind of a
point and click puzzle game, yeah.
Yeah, puzzle game. I wished there was more horror elements of it, because it was kind of odd how quickly it divulged into just puzzles. There was like 2 enemies, or one enemy or 2 enemy types, and the second one you saw like once or twice.
The first hour is pretty scary, and then it kind of like gets less and less scary. I think it ramps up a bit at the end, but other than that, like there's definitely... It's creepy. It's not. Yeah. It's not. I think it's hard to keep up things being scary, especially for
especially
long, right?
in a game like that genre. Yeah. But very, very cool. I like the story a lot. I also completed Call of Juarez Gunslinger. Very cool game, and I didn't tell you, but when we were playing Hunt the next couple days, I kept trying to hammer the R key to reload faster, because you have to do that in those games to like throw your bullets into your gun. So.
We were cowboying it up this last couple weeks, everybody.
Call of Juarez made me kind of uncomfortable because the amount of Native Americans you kill is uncomfortable. You kill a lot of them, and it's really, really weird.
That's what you do in old westerns, Dan, and westerns from 2013.
Walk around killing Native Americans. Yep. It was kind of odd. I've been getting back into that anime grind too, Jim. I am watching and consuming a lot of anime.
Such as?
I completed Kaiji Ultimate Survivor. I'm still watching Platinum End, even though it's not good, but it's not bad. My biggest one lately is called For Your Eternity or To Your Eternity. I can never remember. I think it's To Your Eternity.
Is that the one where they're gods that you were telling me about?
No, that's Platinum End. That's the Death Note guy's creation. Platinum End is the Death Note guy's creation. To Your Eternity is about a orb that gets cast upon the world, and it can like mimic beings and stuff that it gets strong sensations from. So the first thing it takes a hold of is like a rock for a bunch of years.
Oh, that's the one. Yeah. Okay.
Very, very cool show. So yeah, it's like a rock for a bunch of years, and then a wolf dies next to it, and then it becomes a wolf, and it gets consciousness, and it just follows it around the years and stuff, and as it learns languages and like figures out who it is and what it is. Really,
that did sound excellent when you were describing it.
Insanely good show. I am nearly done it, and then after that I'm going to start Usama ranking, or Ranking of Kings, which is supposed to be very good too. Other than that, me and Cassie have been watching some 90 Day Fiancé. That's always good.
It's like when we're trying to play Hunt and I'm trying to listen to people move around, and all I hear is people going, "You were dating him in the hot tub with the wine glass," and I'm like, "What is this? What is this? Live action Clue?"
Whenever we're playing Hunt, Cassie usually watches Love Island. So yeah, we're trying to be sneaky, and you can hear clinks of champagne glasses and women screaming and crying in the background. Other than that, just been hanging out. It's been kind of getting real snowy around our area, and the roads have been shitty, and my workplace has been dead because no one's coming in.
I had to drive Jaden home last night, and I thought I was going to die.
Oh, yikes. Yeah, the roads were shitty.
I want to say, one of my favorite Dan stories this week was you were playing Call of Juarez, the Gunslinger, and I was like, you ever see Call of Juarez, the Cartel, Dan?
Oh, my God.
And you laughed and said, no, I've never seen that before. And you looked it up, and you thought it was a fake game.
I thought it was like a meme game. Like, I thought it was like an April Fool's type of game they'd just released like a demo for or something.
Like Duty Calls.
Like, that game looks shit.
That's one of the worst games ever made, man.
Like, that... You literally made a unique premise for your game, and then you're like, okay, scrap the whole unique premise, and then just make it the most generic shooter possible.
What studio made those games?
I don't know. I hope they're all dead.
I think they went out of business because of they lost some money at because of the cartel, and they made Gunslinger. Gunslinger's really good, but it didn't sell well.
Yeah.
That's
sad, but let's start talking about 81 Archive.
Archive 81. Shut up,
Archive
Dan.
81. For the listener who isn't a Netflix savvy individual, describe what Archive 81 is.
Which one? Which Archive 81?
So I don't think many people know it's based on a podcast.
It says it on the Netflix thing.
I don't think people read the Netflix thing. I think people see scary alien face and say, I'll watch this. It's #1 rated in Canada today. My mom didn't know it was based on a podcast.
Surprise, everybody. We're doing another podcast and do a movie or show episode, LOL. But Archive 81 was a podcast that Jim fucking hates. And then Jim watched it, listened to it when it came out, 3 or 4 years ago, when I was in university.
Jim, sorry, can I interrupt you for 1 second?
Sure.
The developer of Call of Juarez, the cartel is Techland. That's so sad. They make Dying Light.
Oh, was it?
What the hell? What happened to you guys for a short stint in 2011?
Who made Gunslinger?
Techland. What the hell?
Oh, fuck.
That's an interesting jump.
Everyone go play Dying Light. Everyone go play Dying Light. Dying Light's really good. But, yeah, Archive 81 was a podcast Jim hated. Listened to it in university. And then I was just on Netflix, like Dan's mom. I was Dan's mom that night. I got off work. I walked home from work like Dan's mom does. I came home, sat next to Dan's dad, and I was like, let's watch this new Netflix show on our Parchment TV, our burn-in Parchment TV. And I watched it, and I watched all of it, or I watched half of it, and then I realized there was a character, and I was like, wait a minute. And then I looked it up.
Because you didn't know at first. Yeah.
I didn't know. And then I looked up, I'm like, oh my God, this is the podcast that I hate. I love this show, but I hate this podcast. It's basically, they're very different. Can you describe?
Are they?
Yeah. Can you describe the plot of the show? The not the whole plot, but
So loose plot of the show, it follows a dude that was hired by a shady company to restore old VHS tapes that were from an apartment complex that a woman was making a project for, and as he starts to restore these tapes, he learns about weird goings-on and weird happenings at this apartment complex from the
90s.
90s, was it? Yeah, 1990s. And you learn about a cult, and you learn about secret people and magic and weird mold, and as he starts to unravel this stuff, his reality kind of comes apart, and he starts seeing people that are dead or not around anymore or trapped somewhere. And it's kind of not really a whodunit at all. It's just kind of a sci-fi mystery horror-esque thing.
I'd say it's to me, it had a lot of themes of cosmic horror. It had a lot of cosmic horror themes to me, and I think it revels in creep. That's what that's what I like most about this. It's kind of like The Wolf House or something like that, where it's not explicitly scary. Some scenes can be classified as scary, but it's it's a creepy show, creepy town.
It's eerie and weird. Yeah. I wanted it to be more eerie and weird. And describe to me why you hated the podcast so much. You hate it. Why?
I fucking despise it. Rarely do I listen to something. I think I say this on the show a lot, and even if I watch something and I don't like it, or listen to something I don't like it, I can say there's positive things about it, or it might be for someone else. That show sucks. It's bad. No one should watch it.
So it's obviously, it was a couple of years old. I saw it was from, 2013 or something like that?
I think it came out in 2016. It doesn't matter. It came out, the first season was 2016, 2017.
It's done though.
I don't think so. They have 36 episodes, and I think they're they're gonna have 40 or something. But I listened to the first 19, and I had to stop. I had to stop.
Why? Was it
okay? So what I like, because I like narrative podcasts a lot, podcasts that are a show basically. And my two favorite are The White Vault, which is still going on, not finished yet. You should listen to that, and Limetown. And what I like most about them is they take themselves very seriously. They have all these things that are good character writing, really good acting, and really good performances. That's everything that ties together to make a good narrative podcast. And Archive 81, the podcast, has none of that. The writing is terrible. The performances are terrible. It's cringy, not scary, and just not thought out, and very random, and just messy. It's messy as hell.
You heard it here. Jim absolutely hates it.
The show Archive 81, it follows this guy named Dan, right? And he's investigating these tapes, and he's learning about this place and whatever. But he gets involved in the plot. He sees his dad, and like he feels this connection to this woman and stuff, and there's a lot of stuff that like ties it all together. It's like the one thing I'd use to describe the show is it's very cohesive. Like it's like there's this god and you're revealing things, it's going on, it's all building on itself and leading to something.
Yeah, I thought that as well. It matches up very well. You can see what stuff will be building on upon itself. It's good.
The Archive 81 podcast has none of that. None of it. It takes like, so the show took character names and the Visitor Hotel, like the Visitor Apartments, they took the names of things and just used those and changed the characters around completely to make it into more of like a cohesive, nice show. Because in the podcast, it's this random guy named Dan. He's decoding cassette tapes for this guy, and then things just happen. Like that's the Visitor Apartments in the podcast are just like a host of different things, and they don't really come together or make narrative sense together. It's kind of just like a gaping hole in reality, and things are crawling out of it. So it's very random and not focused. But the Visitor Apartments in the show, they're all about in this call. Like it's all based in this
god,
a
cast of characters,
and everything's
stuff,
affecting each other, and they all have relationships with each other and stuff, and good character writing and interactions and stuff like that. And it's all working towards something, which the podcast doesn't. It's just random.
I did notice the podcast episodes, some of them are like very short, like way shorter than I would have imagined for what the show delved into.
The other thing that I want to bring up now before I forget, because I wrote down notes, okay, and another reason why I fucking hate this podcast is that they tried to like, okay, this is the cringiest part of it, is they tried to like incorporate Patreon and Twitter and like selling Blue Apron and like
don't try and incorporate it into the
they do, bro. In the second season,
really?
They open the episode and they're like, one guy, like the host is pretending to be like a character. He's like, this one must go to Blue Apron and order blah blah blah. Like it is fucking stupid.
That sounds odd. I'll have to listen to that. That's really odd. Like I'm fully on for everyone getting monetization if you're creating content and stuff, but that's weird. That just sounds like stilted and awkward.
Man, like at the end of the podcast, do like an out of character thing, like, hey, like this is the producer of the show, like, you know, we have these sponsors that let me talk about them, or you can skip over this, do whatever. Like, we just want your support for the show, whatever. Support us on Patreon or whatever. Don't make it like the first season's like, hey, it's me and I found Dan's tapes, and to put them up, like, I gotta get some money from Patreon. And the second season's like he's pretending to be like a robot character. He's like, you must order Blue Apron, and it's the worst thing I've ever listened to.
That's really weird. I'm gonna listen to that after.
Well, I mean, like, the guy must have been on a hustle when he was making this, and I'm kind of glad he was hustling because we got a good show out of it. What are your thoughts about, like, did you finish the show, Dan?
Yeah, I did. Oh yeah, we finished it about a week ago, I bet. I just want to say it, like, someone at Netflix exec must be like, this is an odd thing to randomly make a show out of. Like, what is it? A very popular podcast?
I think it is, and the thing is too is that like when people get a popular podcast like this, like my favorite narrative podcast, Limetown, was also a show. I haven't watched.
Really?
I didn't watch it though because I got bad reviews or whatever. But like, they're different beasts, right? And sometimes when you get a podcast like this, it's a good narrative podcast. You people go out and they have the Hollywood lifestyle. They try to sell it. They sell the story or whatever. So this guy who made the podcast must have gone out and tried to sell the story. And I'm glad he did, because they took it out of his stupid little dumb hands and made it into something that was actually good.
Okay, so what was I going to say? I enjoyed the show. I want to talk about the worst aspect of it, and I think the worst aspect of it immediately was what was his name? Kalego?
Kalego, the ghost man, the god?
Kalego coming out of the TV every time it showed that.
So we're into spoilers now. So if you care about spoilers for this show. So this show follows Dan. Dan's a guy who works in a museum, and he restores like old footage. Like he was restoring Super 8 tapes in the show, but he restores like VHS tapes, old film, and stuff like that. He just like cleans them up and makes sure they run right.
Whiz.
Yeah, and he gets a job where they need to like, it's a guy who runs a place called LMG, which is like this shadow company that's like, okay, just like come work for us and go over these tapes. And when he's looking through the tapes, he finds like his dad. He feels like a weird spiritual connection to the lady who's like taping all these people to the 90s. And he starts talking to her in his dreams and stuff. And then after a while, I think it's in like right after the middle, it's like the 5th or 6th episode, he watches something and he sees like a summoning ritual or something, and then a big like Sumerian god ghost starts banging on the freaking CRT screen and coming through it. It's
a
kind
big
of
like
funny.
PlayStation 3 cutscene era-esque face pops through the TV.
I like the design of the guy. Like I didn't think it was bad.
I don't think the design of Kalego is bad. He's kind of, I don't even know how you describe it. It is kind of Cthulhian, or like kind of looks like something you'd see out of like a Bloodborne area, like an enemy's face.
It reminded me a lot of the Ring, and I think that's very intentional. Like this.
Yeah, I can see that.
Static on the TV and stuff, and something coming through it. It felt like an unstoppable force, kind of, that you kind of only escape from and stuff like that. And that's very like a cosmic horror kind of vibe that I enjoyed.
Yeah. So I liked it a lot. I liked the show a lot. Cassie said about halfway through when I don't think Cassie was understanding. Let me make sure she's not listening. I don't think Cassie was understanding how the dream sequence things were working. Like when he was talking to Melody Pendress, because she kept on going, everything that happens in this show is a dream. He's just sleeping the whole time.
Man, Cassie was like, it's the Rugrats copy pasta, man. Stu's asleep the whole time, bro.
But I really liked it. I'm really intrigued as to where it will go, because season 1 ended, so literally full spoilers. Season 1 ended with him getting trapped in this world that the cult ritual opens up.
So I was kind of on the fence because I don't really know what happened. So Emily Pendress definitely got out because all the people. Yes. So it's basically this ritual has been done a bunch. So there was a ritual in the 1920s where these rich people got together and filmed it, where they tried to like create like a time gap where they could exist in forever and like steal their family and stuff. They're basically trying to make heaven, right?
Is that what they're trying to do, or are they trying to bring Kalego into the real world?
They're worshiping this god called Kalego, this ancient god, in order to like preserve life and them to like exist in his realm and like them to be happy. They're basically trying to go to heaven. Yeah. And this happens in the 20s, and they sacrifice a girl and they film it. And that's what happens at the beginning too, is that some guy found the tape and then he turned it into a TV show. And that's the first tape that Dan restores in the show too. That at the very beginning of the show. It's like a tape from like a Twilight Zone episode that's like has this ritual in it. Did you notice that?
Yeah, I did. It was called The Circle.
Yeah, The Circle.
Yeah.
And so this ritual happened in the 1920s, and it burnt down the mansion they were in. And then the visitor apartments was built on top of that, which was the 90s. They did the same ritual again, and Emily Pendress, who's taping all these, is trapped in there too. And then they do it again at the end of this show to get her out, and then she comes back out, and she's straight out of the 90s, fresh into 2022. And I don't know if Dan got trapped in the world, like the Kalego's world, or if he got trapped in 1994. Because basically what this world is, right? This is the world that exists outside of time. This is like its own space bubble that does exist outside of time. That these rituals, like the one in the 20s, the one in the 90s, and the one in 2022 touch upon. So he could come out at any time. So what I think happened is he came out into 1994. He's not trapped in there. He's trapped in another time.
That's kind of what I gathered as well. And they really hammered it home by showing, look, here's the Twin Towers and the reflection.
Oh, yeah, he's looking out the window and he sees... Man, he could solve 9/11. That should be Season 2.
Season 2 should be him solving 9/11 and starting Bitcoin early.
I don't think that'll happen, though. I think this show... It does the best thing with time travel, right? And the thing that I think is the smartest way to do it is that you can't affect the time stream. Like, you can't go back to 1994 and prevent something from happening. So time always moves the way it's going to move. So because Dan's back in 1994, he's always been back in 1994. Like, there's you think he didn't go to a separate timeline. He didn't go to like a separate Earth 8722, whatever the fuck they do in Marvel. He's just in 1994, and like he's there because there's not going to be separate timelines or anything like that. So
I don't think there will be either. I just want to see, because Melody Pendress didn't age at all.
No.
So, and they can seemingly do the ritual anytime with that tuning fork and stuff that Melody's mom had. So yeah, if he was stuck in the other world, it would be as simple as, popping open it again and getting him out. Yeah. But I don't think it is, because Samuel grabbed him. Samuel's the guy that he's kind of, what did he call himself? He was like, I'm the firekeeper or whatever for the cult or something.
Yeah, Samuel was like the cult leader in the 90s in the apartment, yeah.
Yeah, so he got trapped as well. And Samuel like grabbed him and they dove into the to the white sunny room area, and
Yeah.
then Dan woke up there. We have yet to see where Samuel is. I'm sure 100% he'll be in season 2 doing something. But I just don't see how it will tie together. Because what will you really do if he's in the 90s?
Emily Pendress, bro. Emily Pendress going to open that door again. She's going to go in Kalego Zone. She's going to come out in 1994, save Dan, go back into Kalego Zone, come back.
The Kalego Zone. I didn't like that they gave Kalego a physical embodiment. I thought that was kind of lame.
I didn't like that as much either. I think that...
Because I was like, it's his zone. Like, it's his world. He is controlling every aspect of it. And then I was like, oh, no, wait. He's, like, right there. He's just a physical thing.
I think that he kind of affected the world around him because they were running around in circles and they couldn't, like, get through some doors and stuff. I think that was implied. Yeah. But it was kind of, like, abstract as to what his powers and stuff were in the world, where he was basically like the god. They were trying to get to heaven, but in fact they got into purgatory, where Emily Pendress... They
got into the Kalego Zone.
It was so fucky that, like, can you imagine Emily Pendress was sitting in that fucking church for 3 decades waiting for her mom to come get her, and she never came.
Yeah, so something's definitely up with time there. I really liked how it was shot and everything. Like, the show looks nice. It wasn't boring or anything.
It's very pretty. I like the... What I like most about the show is, like, the tactile feel of it. Yeah, and you know me. You know I'm biased. I like CRTs. I like VHS tapes. I like old tech, and I really like that. You know, Dan was a very, like, technical kind of guy where he was just, like, cleaning stuff and blah, blah. And you know that I do that stuff in my spare time, so I think that was kind of my bias towards it as well. So I like cleaning stuff. I like fixing stuff, so I like that aspect of it as well.
Jim loves all the technologies that will die and fade away if you don't keep them in an airtight container.
Well, when the magnetic Earth changes, we're just going to go back in the Stone Age anyway.
Jim, shut up. Magnetic Earth changes. What does that even mean?
It's when the poles flip.
When the poles flip?
Yeah, so that will destroy that will make every piece of technology on Earth not work.
Will it destroy the Hunt Showdown servers?
Not if we start now, Dan. Let's get on this task.
Get on this task of warning the people. Is this one of the things like Y2K that you think will happen but that won't happen, or is this a recorded thing that just will happen one day?
It will happen. Yeah.
That sucks. Well, at least by that time, you can finalize and listen to all of the podcast of 81 Archives.
Listen,
is it Archive 81 or
Archive 81, bro. And
yeah, I think I've called it the wrong
listen,
thing
this is what we'll
times.
do, Dan. Oh no, magnetic tape. Never mind. What can I do that's not... I'll get a laser disc. I'll inscribe it upon a laser disc. I'll do a laser disc burner. I'll put all the episodes of Shack Out back on a laser disc. That will work.
That's so sad. Jim pulled out his laser disc, and I don't know what it is still. They just feel like big shitty records.
Dan, they're basically a big record that you put movies on.
Huh.
I watched Reservoir Dogs like that. It was good. But getting back to Archive 81... I think that a big aspect of why I like this show too is that everyone who performs in this show I had not seen before. Never seen any of these actors or actresses before.
Yeah, now that you mention it, actually, I didn't think about that, but me neither.
They all do an excellent job and take the role seriously. Like, it's not like... I feel like the podcast, and another reason why I hate it, is that it's very tongue-in-cheek, like trying to be funny, like trying to be...
Is it?
Like,
I'll have to listen to it more, because that sounds horrible.
Yeah, I like how serious they took the subject matter, and I really don't think that we have a lot of cosmic horror things and shows that take things to a different level and are really successful. I feel like the show was successful in what it set out to do, and kudos to them. Like, and this is what I think too. I think we've talked about this before on the show, but I don't know why they don't do remakes of movies that are bad and like shitty and
give
make
them
them
another
better.
try.
Yeah, like I think
talked about that before.
I wish that like they did more stuff like that, because it worked with this. Like, I hate the fucking podcast this is based on, but the show's really, really good in my opinion.
I was gonna mention.
What are you gonna mention?
Talking about cosmic horror, I was trying to think of movies that are cosmic horror inspired. I can only think of Color Out of Space, and I can think of The Void.
Reanimator. We're trying to think of some other ones.
That movie, I read the books with the play Annihilation with what's her name?
Yeah, with
but why do you think there isn't more cosmic horror shows or movies? It's just hard to wrap your mind around for most people.
I think it's hard to do, and the reason why I say cosmic horror and not Lovecraftian horror is when people think of these themes, they think of like, oh, it's Victorian England, and
Yeah.
it's like fishmen and
I was gonna say
horrible
fish people.
racism and a terrible name for a pet cat. And that's what they think of, right? They think of H.P. Lovecraft and his racist ass, writing racist ass books, and they don't think of because Lovecraft certainly has a theme.
Yeah,
But
I don't think he's a fantastic author.
No.
There's way better Lovecraftian authors now.
oh yeah, and then back then too. Like, did I ever
Oh,
tell
yeah.
you, The King in Yellow is a book that I read. It's a collection of short stories, and it's way better than H.P. Lovecraft, and it's very good. I recommend
Yeah.
The King in Yellow to everybody. It's one of my favorite books. And H.P. Lovecraft actually stole the character of the King in Yellow. That's what H.P. Lovecraft based some of his stories on, was the King in Yellow, and made
I was gonna
it extra
say,
racist.
isn't that already a thing?
Yeah,
like
he put it in the Lovecraftian universe.
Yeah, because the King in Yellow is one of the like Lovecraftian Cthulhu god type of things.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, but I would say, like, you can remove the theme of like Victorian England and Cthulhu and all that stuff. You can take that shit out and apply like the same feeling, because I feel like cosmic horror is a feeling. It's the feeling of you are insignificant, the universe does not care, and there are things you cannot begin to understand out there. That's the
Yeah,
basis.
it's very
of it,
hard
right?
to market. You can't put that in a trailer easily because you can't say, here's the big bad monster that's going to kill you in this movie.
This summer, coming out of the screen, it's Calago. He's coming for Dan. He's gonna eat his little skin.
I will say The Color Out of Space, that movie is one of my favorite movies with Nick Cage.
That's a good movie. It's on Netflix too. People should go watch it.
Oh, watch Color Out of Space, and I'm so excited if they do because I've heard they wanted to make it a trilogy and do
That is an H.P. Lovecraft story, eh?
yeah, Color Out of Space is.
The other thing I liked a lot about this movie is it felt very, it just felt to me like it's very rare where I feel just like nice watching something. Like, I like the 90s aesthetic in this movie a lot. They do a lot of fucking work to make it look convincing, and that this actually takes place in 1994 in terms of technology, in terms of what people are saying, wearing, thinking, talking about, all that stuff. And it just made me feel nice. Like, it made me feel nice to watch something that had so much effort and love put into it in terms of production design and acting. I will say that, like, some of the dialogue in this show isn't amazing. Like, some of the dialogue is very plain and very, very bones, but it's based, a lot of the character interaction in a lot of these situations is based on what happens in the podcast. So with considering the source material, they did a very good job in adaptation, I think.
They did above and beyond, in Jim's opinion. I'm excited for season 2 because I will keep watching it. And
Do you want to know what happens in season 2 of the podcast?
tell me, so you said it follows different storylines, or is it mostly the
So
same?
the season 1 of the podcast is there's a character named Dan. He's adapting tapes. And this is the other thing I want to talk about. It's kind of problematic. Where Dan had a girlfriend going in, kind of like he has in the show. There's like this.
They
thing
mentioned it in the show at the start, and then they kind of just forgot about it. He had a mental breakdown.
No,
or something.
his girlfriend comes back. She's the one who gives his.
She's the one that gives the tapes to
his buddy.
Yeah.
But that's more of like they did it better in the show, where that's like a thing that's affecting him. People are worried about him, all that stuff. In the podcast, he's breaking up with his girlfriend during this, and he's very resigned about it. And he's not a very interesting character. He's adapting these tapes, and he doesn't really have like a motivation to keep doing the tapes. He just keeps doing it, and they say, haha, you just got to keep doing it, you're just interested, eh? Instead of his dad being invested in it. That was another good thing they added in the show.
Really?
Yeah. And the season ends, and him watching the tapes. Emily Pendress may come back after, but I stopped listening after season 2. It just summons a god, and the god's like, haha, you're stupid, ha, and then he runs away. And then season 2, he gets turned into a robot with a tape player in him. And he ends up...
Dan does?
Yeah, Dan does. And he ends up in, like null space. There's not, like, a Calago world. There's like a collective unconscious land that they send him off to. And there's, like, a character there named Brat. And, like, he just... It's very confusing and abstract as to what's going on.
That doesn't sound good.
No. And you know how he has a rat in the show?
Yes.
Okay, so this is what made me stop listening to the show in the first place, where I listened to half of season 1 and I shut it off. He talks to the rat in the podcast, and the rat responds to him as if it's sentient.
That's weird.
And the rat also gets killed by the god, and then he screams and cries about the rat, and I was like, this sucks, and I turned it off.
That's really, really weird. I'll have to listen to it because that has intrigued me. I want to see if it's actually shitty.
That was the trigger, though. That was like, I was watching the show, and then he has the rat, and then he calls it Ratty when it's in the chair. I'm like,
Yeah.
and I had like a little conniption in the back of my head.
It made your mind recollect all the memories. It dredged up all the past.
My simian brain, the sparks went off in my frontal lobe, and I was like, oh god. But yeah, don't listen to that podcast, Dan. It's fucking terrible.
Jim says, "Do not listen to the podcast."
What was some of your favorite aspects of the show? What was Cassie's favorite aspects of the show?
I liked the characters. I liked how Samuel, and what's the older woman's name? Cassandra?
Yeah.
They are such fucking gaslighters. It made me pissed off.
Manipulators. They're like Dan.
My God. Like, sometimes you were like, damn, maybe she is just insane. Like, they acted completely normal about a bunch of shit.
I wanted to bring up something, too, that I found a little bit problematic about the show.
Tell me, Jim,
I don't know how I feel about it, but Emily Pendress in the podcast was gay.
Okay.
And a large part of this show is that Dan and Emily kind of like fall in love with each other and kind of start like saying like, oh, but you saved me, but you came back for me. And that's a big like aspect of the show. And I don't know how I feel about that because I do think like as much as I hate it, the podcast is very like, it celebrates a lot of people who are gay and like have gay relationships and stuff like that. And they kind of just removed that for the show. And I don't know.
Yeah, it's a little bit odd to do. Like, I get it from a marketing standpoint because it's easier to be like, well, these two characters are love interests. That's why they're going for each other.
It's kind of like a cheap and easy way to...
It's a cheap and easy way to get emotion from people to be like, well, they love each other. I did get the feeling with Melody Pendress's character with, what was her name? Abigail or... Was it Abigail?
Which one? Her, like, friend?
Her friend.
Yeah. I don't remember her name.
Did get the feeling sometimes with that. I was like, at the start of the show, I was like, oh, are they
together?
Like girlfriend? Yeah, and then I was like, oh, they're not. They just like live together and stuff. They're in college or something. Mm-hmm. But I did kind of get the feeling for that. Do you know if she's in the podcast?
Her friend?
Yeah.
So I know that, I don't remember off the top of my head, but I know that there's a part that Dan's like deciphering in the podcast where he's listening to a tape and she's like talking to her girlfriend and her girlfriend's like playing around saying like, oh, do an interview with me, blah, blah. I don't remember the girlfriend's name off the top of my head from the podcast. Maybe it's the same character name and they just brought it over.
Just as like a little nod.
I think that the podcast was so bad, in my opinion, that I don't think it matters. As, like, this might be not a nice thing to say, but just because a character is gay, like, well, I don't know what I'm trying to say here. Let me think for a second. The show was so bad and unfulfilling, and the character writing was so bland and crappy. Granted that I only listened to the first 2 seasons of it before shutting it off because of its terribleness. I think that the relationship between Dan and Emily Pendress in the show was compelling. I did like it a lot, and it was kind of like a star-crossed lovers, like people from a different time. It reminded me a lot of, my friends were really big into Outlander, or the show about the woman who's like lost in time or whatever, and like falls in love with some dude in like 1200 BC or whatever, and then has a kid. It reminded me a little bit of that. I liked it. I liked it a lot, and I feel like the adaptation was good.
This is just two cis white men's opinions of Archive 81. Yeah. I'm going to listen to the podcast at least for a bit and see what I think of it, because we have generally the same taste on some things, and I feel like if it's as shitty as you're saying, it's probably as
How
shitty
many
as you're saying.
Did you listen to it this morning? How many episodes did you get through?
I think I only listened to like an episode or two. I was at work.
It's if you get through the first season, Dan, I will be very surprised.
I'll let you know next bi-weekly breakdown. But I think that kind of wraps it up for Archive 81. I'm sure we'll be doing another episode when season 2 comes out.
There's a lot of me talking because I feel like I was very interested in the show and its themes and the way it was written. And I would definitely recommend everyone to go watch Archive 81 on Netflix. Don't listen to the podcast though; it fucking sucks. What will you say about it, Dan? What's your final thoughts?
Yeah, same. I'd say go watch it. Like, it's on Netflix, and I don't know if it was actually in the top 10, because me and Cassie have started to notice Netflix kind of just says anything they put out is in the top 10.
The new stuff, whatever they new comes out this week is usually in the top 10.
They're just like, hey, this is in the top 10. Very easy watch. It's only like 8 episodes, so they're longer episodes too, which is nice. They're about an hour a piece, a little bit more sometimes.
I think that the mystery aspect of it that we didn't talk about a lot. You talked about a little bit with the gaslighting in the show, but I think it's very strong. And so, like, we did have spoiler warnings, so if you spoiled yourself on it, I think it's still worthwhile to watch all the way through.
Same, yeah. It's as I said, it's only 8 episodes. Not going to burn out a bunch of time.
I hope they do it season 2.
I wanted to mention, I saw a picture that really made me be like, holy fuck. Stranger Things, the new season, still isn't out.
When did season 3 come out?
I don't know, like 3 years ago? Those kids are going to be like fucking 20, and they're going to be portraying like 11-year-olds.
They're not going to be 11-year-olds. There's going to be a time skip. They're going to be like 20. And then Hopper's going to come out of Russia and fucking fight a bear.
That's all I wanted to say. I just saw a picture of it, and I was like, wow, Stranger Things was an IP that they really ruined.
They ruined it?
I thought they should have ended after season 1 or 2.
You didn't like season 3? I thought season 2 was bad. I thought season 3 was better than season 2.
Maybe we'll do a Stranger Things episode.
A Stronger Things.
Shack Out Back Stranger Things episode.
We're not doing a long episode today. Dan's got to prep Mothership for me because I want to play Mothership with Dan. So Dan,
yeah, I want to play Mothership too.
Dan, what are we doing for episode 35? Question mark of Shack Out Back.
We are doing. Let me pull up. I had it written down.
Oh god, he's got a spreadsheet coming out.
We are gonna do. There's 2 good ones here. There's 2 good ones here.
No. This is why we should do a poll.
Yeah, there's 2 good ones. Yeah, follow us on Twitter if you do. Okay, we'll do this one. This one's an interesting one, and I've been watching anime recently. We're going to compare and contrast 2 movies, and it is Grave of the Fireflies, which you may have seen already.
I've not seen that.
No? Do you know what it is?
Yes.
Yeah. We're going to do Grave of the Fireflies, and then it's the other movie On This Side of the World, which I've talked about before.
On this? What service are they on?
Grave of the Fireflies should be on Netflix. On This Side of the World, I believe, is also on Netflix, or I have the Blu-ray. But they both are generally in the same gist, and they get compared a lot just because they're both World War II or World War One, I believe it is, or is it World War II? I forget. World War One or II-esque movies.
What is this movie called? Because I'm not getting On This Side of the World.
On This Side of the World.
Is it an anime? Is it a?
Yes, they're both animated movies.
I don't know if that's the title of it because I'm not getting it.
Let me see. Oh, is it just This Side of the World?
Is it This Side of the World? There we go. In this corner of the world.
Why the fuck did I put On This Side of the World? I don't know why I put that.
In this corner of the world.
Yes, in this corner of the world. They're both movies about war, and they both generally follow the same topics, but they're shot very, very differently. But
is this the horrible one with horrible gore?
No.
What's that one that Patrick kept sending videos of people fucking blowing up?
Oh god, I don't know. But we're gonna watch both those movies and kind of talk about it.
It's kind of interesting because Japan's the only country that has like, well, that's not specifically. They're the only country with cultural ramifications from an atomic bomb. That's the only country they have cultural ramifications from an atomic bomb. The entirety of Europe has cultural ramifications from Chernobyl, which wasn't a bomb. It was just an incident. But we're getting serious. We're getting serious for next episode. No more funny movies where the guy with a big head comes out of a TV.
No more funny times.
How are we going to bring us out here, Dan? How are we going to bring us out?
We're going to bring us out. I've been watching a lot of 90 Day Fiancé.
Man, let's hum. Jim. Let's hum like Hunt. Let's hum together.
Oh, like Hunt? Main menu music for Hunt kills me.
Good night, darling.
Goodbye, Jim.
Bye-bye.
Good night, Dan.
Good night, everybody.
And now Dan listens to the Archive 81 podcast and screams into Jim's phone.
Dude, there's something weird with those tapes. Shut in asking for tears, a guy that can vanish, a kid that runs around helping people. What's going on? Dan, I'm gonna have to ask you to calm down.
Why is Dan in the podcast like a caricature of the scared, doty nerd? It's like hard to listen to. Why is he talking like this? Who talks like this?
This is the shower, where I shower. You can picture me naked in the shower. I'm sorry, I shouldn't have said that. This is the bed. Oh, there's a rat. What, a rat?
What the fuck? Like, it's so awkward. Daniel meets what I assume is like an elder god being. And it goes, you have a rat on your shoulder. And then he goes, yeah, his name's Ratty. And then the rat squeaks. What? Like, what is it supposed to be funny? Is it a funny podcast? Because it doesn't seem like it's a funny podcast. It doesn't seem like it's a joke. They're taking itself pretty seriously.